Okay, so picture this. A city under siege. You're probably imagining barred gates, burning fields, a big, dramatic military showdown, right? Walls versus catapults. But here's the thing. That's not where the real battle is fought. The true war, the one that really matters, happens quietly, inside the walls. It's fought in the marketplace, in the food stores, and in the minds of the people. And once you understand that hidden war, it changes how you see everything.
And this line, it just gets right to the heart of it. It's not about the coins in your pocket. I mean, they might still be there, but that shared belief, that trust that holds an entire economy together, that's the first casualty. And when it shatters, every single rule of survival gets rewritten, just like that.
So, we have this myth of the siege. It's all about dramatic attacks and brave defenses. And it's kind of comforting because it makes us think that wars are won with pure strength. But the reality, well, it's a lot slower, a lot quieter, and frankly, a lot more terrifying. A siege is economic warfare, and the most powerful weapon isn't a battering ram, it's time.
And this is the absolute core of the strategy. See, any besieging army knows that a direct attack is super expensive and incredibly risky. Why lose all your soldiers trying to break down a wall? It's way cheaper and way more effective to just wait. You just sit back and let the city eat itself from the inside out.
Yeah, the goal isn't to break the walls from the outside. The real goal is to force the city's own internal systems to completely collapse. I mean, think about it. These ancient cities were like engines, totally dependent on a constant flow of food and supplies. So you cut that fuel line, you shut down the engine, and you just let starvation and desperation do all the dirty work for you.
So what's the very first thing to break inside those walls? It's not morale, surprisingly. It's not even law and order. It's something way more fundamental. It's trust in the future. You know, that simple, unspoken guarantee we all live by. The idea that tomorrow is going to be pretty much like today.
And that brings us to this key idea, the siege economy. It's what happens when scarcity gets so extreme that it completely rewrites what we think of as value. Because what is money really? It's just a promise, right? A token that says you can get something good in the future. But what good is a promise about the future when you're not even sure you're going to survive the week?
Now, what's so fascinating is how logical this breakdown really is. It happens in 3 simple steps. First, the future just vanishes. Tomorrow is a question mark. Because of that, step 2, promises become worthless, which is all money is. And that leads directly to step 3. The only thing that has any value is what you can use right now. A loaf of bread replaces a bag of silver. Food becomes the new money.
Now, if you're a city leader facing this crisis, you have to act. You can't just let the rich hoard all the food while everyone else starves. So you come up with a response that seems totally logical, even necessary, but it unleashes forces you can never, ever fully control.
So of course, the state steps in. They seize the grain, they set up rationing cards, and they announce, okay, a loaf of bread now costs this much and no more. It's all done to stop riots and keep people from starving. And on paper, it looks like a great idea, a noble attempt to bring back order. But in reality, it's like lighting the fuse on an economic time bomb.
Which leads to the key question, right? Do these price controls actually get rid of the scarcity? Or do they just move it around? Because a merchant with a family to feed doesn't suddenly stop caring about survival just because you passed a new law.
And this chart just lays out the dilemma perfectly. Look at the choice that merchant has. Option 1, sell your grain at the official, legal price and you go broke. You starve. Option 2, sell it on the black market and you survive. Maybe you even make a profit. This isn't a moral failure. It's a rational choice. And the result? All the goods vanish from the legal markets and a massive underground economy just explodes into existence.
So here's the big irony. The government's attempt to control the market actually ends up making the secret underground market more powerful than ever. Hoarding and black markets, they're not a sign of chaos. No, they're a sign of the market adapting to new, brutal rules.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. This exact pattern has played out over and over and over again, with brutal consistency all throughout history. So let's just look at a few quick examples to see how this isn't an accident. It's a predictable verdict.
Let's start with Athens, the cradle of democracy, right? They were rich, they controlled the seas, they thought they were invincible. But when a plague hit and their supply lines got strained, trust in their whole system collapsed faster than any wall ever could. Athens didn't fall because it ran out of money. It fell because its basic assumptions about how the world worked were suddenly proven wrong.
Or how about Rome? The emperors totally understood this. Their whole system of power was built on food. The grain dole wasn't charity, it was a weapon of stability. The second that grain stopped showing up during the siege, loyalty just evaporated. Instantly. Riots would break out, and the next emperor wasn't chosen in the Senate, he was chosen by the hungry mob.
And maybe the clearest example of all is Constantinople. Those walls were legendary. They could stop almost any army, but they couldn't stop economics. The city's real defense was its access to the sea, its lifeline for trade. The moment the Ottomans cut off that access in 1453, a countdown timer started. The city fell not because its walls were weak, but because its time and its food simply ran out.
Okay, but this isn't just a history lesson, I promise. If you strip away the stone walls and the catapults, you start to see that the mechanics of a siege economy are actually eerily familiar in our own world. I mean, think about it for a second. Why do these stories about scarcity and hoarding from thousands of years ago resonate so much today? It's because the pressures are still the same. The weapons have changed, but the war for trust is identical.
These right here are the modern siege engines. Economic sanctions don't destroy money, they attack your access to goods. Supply chain disruptions don't get rid of demand, they just force it underground. Every single one of these triggers the exact same chain of events by creating scarcity and destroying our trust that things will be available tomorrow.
And this totally reframes a behavior we have all seen: panic buying. From the outside, it looks completely irrational. But when you think about it this way, it's a perfectly logical vote of no confidence. It's a statement that you no longer trust the system to provide for you. You're not hoarding toilet paper, you're hoarding certainty.
Which brings us to the final and maybe most uncomfortable lesson of all this. A crisis, this kind of intense pressure, it doesn't create new problems out of thin air. It just acts like a giant floodlight, exposing all the cracks and choices that were already built into the system.
So at the end of the day, what a siege really does is reveal a system's true priorities. It's not chaos, it's a moment of terrible clarity. It shows you what and who a system is really designed to protect, and by extension, who it's designed to let fail. The real question a siege asks is this: when the numbers don't add up anymore, who does the system decide is expendable?